Boom, 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 boom. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Thanks. All right. What's up, everybody? Let's see if I can get a little light in there, too. Sweet. This is really more for reading than anything. What up, what up? How's everybody doing? Just waiting for my compadres to join the live so we can get things bubbling. You guys on yet? Here we go. No, 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 no. No. Peace. All right. Peace, peace. All right. How y'all feeling? Can y'all hear me? We good?
Yep.
What's up, gentlemen?
Can you hear me?
Bless. Peace, Zay in the chat. How you feeling, my brother? Selling. All right. How y'all brothers feeling, man? I ain't talked to y'all in a minute. You know what I'm saying?
Irie, brethren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
All is well, bro.
All right. So what y'all been on this week?
Bro, it's been a journey of self-discovery, man.
I hear that. Yeah, man. I basically what was I on this week, man? Actually, my wife and I, we went out for a much needed, just night out on the town, man. We caught a dope little basically outside symphony with candles everywhere, doing the thing. And then what else did we do? Hung out with fam for a minute, you know. Yeah, man. Just also just been on these books, man. Just reading, you know, getting the feel for the time, see everything going on, you know.
Man,
Yeah, my last couple of days were actually, pretty rock solid. I'm over here with Ja Ora, in Los Angeles. I was able to
Uh-huh.
spend a little time out on the waterfront. Um, just sealing up the West Coast, making the most of the West Coast, type vibe. I been kind of bouncing off some of the things happening in the Blumbercott news. You know,
Mm.
I was wondering if y'all actually got to look at that response that I sent you about the so-called picture, sending the picture with the ape. You know what I'm saying? Did y'all see
Ooh,
that?
you talking about Obama?
Yeah. I'm talking about the one where the picture of Trump and Melania listed as like apes.
Yeah, I did see
oh
that.
no,
I did see that.
Yeah. So yeah, I was
yeah,
like I was really thankful to see the clapback on that. because I don't know if y'all remember the post, but just real point blank simple, you know, the way I think we should really recognize what's happening to I and I people is that we're evolving into our higher selves. The tone is being set for us to recognize who we are. So the clip actually said that, who has thin lips? You know, white
Yeah.
folks. Who has the straight hair? The white folks. And then if you go as far as like I said, to go start researching the rhesus monkey, this little orange and the most violent of the monkeys, you know, you can begin to see and get a feel for the idea that, you know, everything you're seeing in the news right now is really projection. They're projecting onto us who they are and what they are, and that's what I wanted to pour into, just kind of seal up what we talked about
Yeah,
last
please
week and
do.
everything,
Let's do
But
that.
and then also to deal with the question of today, which is what's the next crisis. So yeah, it's good to talk with you, brothers, again. I'm ready to chop it up, as you can see.
Yeah. Definitely, man. Because again, that's what I've been on, man. Just in terms of where this idea came from. I've been digging into this book here, the Fourth Turning, and with that being said, it's basically entitled "The American Prophecy." And so, what I find interesting is the perspective that it comes from, as really, showing the cycle of Western civilization in terms of how it moves, essentially from high to crisis, and it's basically moved in that same cycle since
Hey,
basically
brothers,
the
give me
more.
2 minutes. My mother needs to see me for something. I'll be right back. Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
All right.
Essentially, since the Moors had been in control of Europe, and so once those tides had turned, basically he's talking about how each different time in different civilizations, everyone reaches, right, essentially the same cycle, right, and that cycle starts with a high, right, where basically that particular society reaches a high or a climax in terms of how it functions, and then from that high, it basically creates an awakening in the people, right? In that awakening, people become way more self-aware in order to cause and to develop change as a result of that high. And then from that awakening, then basically society starts to experience an unraveling, right? Because that awakening causes divisions, that awakening causes, conflict. And then from that unraveling transpires the crisis, right? The crisis in which society no longer functions off the rules that brought it to that high. And so now it's trying to essentially rework, reconfigure itself in order for it to figure out what is the new path, or where this is going. So just to kind of give you an example, in terms of this book, it defines like the high, as far as American society during like the 1950s, right? Like right after World War II, when basically the U.S. started becoming a superpower. Then the awakening was, they considered the 1960s, when basically there was the whole counterculture, hippie movement, Black Power, right? Um, all taking place during the 60s, a lot of social change. Then the 1970s would be considered the unraveling, right? When society essentially became kind of tired or became weary of that social change. And so people started pulling away to their own factions. And then basically as a result of that, boom, they talk about the crisis, which is essentially, how did it describe it? Like the 1980s. All right. Basically, talking about the crack epidemic, several different things that took place during the 1980s, right? And then that essentially took place. Then the society high started again, um, during the 90s. And basically, what we're experiencing now is the unraveling. So I thought it was just kind of interesting, and especially just like Bobby Kim was talking about what's going on right now. Talking about just the unraveling. You know, basically racist or racist ideologies being put out by the president. I mean, that's a clear unraveling in terms of where we came from. So in that same way, if we are experiencing an unraveling right now, what is the crisis going to look like, right? And more importantly, how do we prepare ourselves for this impending crisis? I know people have heard a lot of different predictions. Oh man, the dollar's going to tumble. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be food shortages. Perhaps unraveling of different parts of society. I don't know, but all I'm saying is I just think this is something important to talk about because uh, I don't know about y'all, but these predictions I've been reading about for a long time. So to see them come to pass, right? To see them actually come to fruition, um, I think now more than ever is the time for us to really put ourselves in a position to act. You know what I'm saying? But yeah,
Mhm.
what are y'all thinking, man?
So I'm kind of vaguely familiar with that book,
Yeah.
but I do like the concept of what it does. But my direct response is, I actually think that those of us that are awakened, conscious beings, I think we need to begin to um, share our prophecies and create our future by prophecies. If there's ever a group of people that have more prophets per 100,000, it would be us. And I think a lot of times we should use our spiritual power to move into that. One of the books I like to print in conjunction with you brothers is a book that I have called Self Fulfilling Prophecy, where I talk about the idea of like creating your prayers, creating your affirmations in the spirit of self fulfilling prophecy, and speaking like something simple like I like to today is February the 17th or 18th or so,
Hmm.
2024. But you could say something like, I give praise and thanks to the Almighty for the 13-room boutique hotel that the universe has afforded me for all my hard work and due diligence. I give praise and thanks for the brand new 2028, RV that's parked in my garage right now, waiting for me to come out there and clean it up. In other words, we have to use the idea or our ability as a manifestation machine to create what we want for ourselves verbally, affirmatively, and prophetically in front of ourselves, and use our vocal box to be prophets as opposed to professors of a problem. I say.
You know, like a metaphysical and a spiritual level, I agree with my brother, right? On a just down to earth, practical level, uh,
Hmm.
get guns. You know what I'm saying? Not to pop nothing off, but you know,
All right,
my
so
father was
so real
was
quick for the
mm,
sake of the algorithm, TikTok, we can't
mm,
we can't use that word. So if like a
okay,
lot of people use the word pew pew, I know it's crazy, but
right, right. Well, you know, uh, understood, but
yeah.
you know, we get the idea. You know, I mean, I think that being able to be in a, a posture of being able to defend oneself is always good, right? And it's never, you know, is never good. I think for our people historically, uh, to be off guard, you know, on a very basic level, right? I think that absolutely we need to prepare ourselves mentally, physically, and martially for any possibility. Does that make sense?
It does. I'm gonna bring a couple people into the room, see if they're still in here. I don't know if I don't know if they're still in here anymore. Oh no, okay. Maybe
I
not.
wanted to say
Yeah.
to make a response right quick to what Jay said just said. I definitely think that we should prepare for. a physical assault if you must. But remember in our last conversation when we talked about when you start talking about weapons like that in this country, based on the psychological framework of the people, guns are very dangerous because when you purchase a gun and bring a gun into your excuse me, well, when you bring a weapon into your cipher, excuse me, you
Mhm.
basically create a higher chance of you being, unalived with that gun more so than protecting yourself with it. Because I'll simplify and say it like this: you've heard you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Well, the
Mhm.
actual might of the the killinizer is his ability to like have us poison ourselves through his food. So I believe in the spirit of live by the sword, die by the sword. I think the best thing that we can do is develop the ability to fast and learn how to refrain from eating the poisons that are creating the debilitating health and stopping you from thinking like a prophet and thinking more of a problematic being. Our vocal box is way better utilized speaking prophecy about our personal life, speaking prophecy into our prayers, speaking prophecy into our business plans and things like that. You're just going to get more traction using the vocal box that way. So I just want to caution us to, yeah, definitely you want to get you a couple of fire sticks around the house in the event that that happens. But my prophecy is that the way that they're going to leave us is the same way that they damaged us epidemiologically. Right now, if you look around, if you look at their population growth, if you look at their Medicaid system,
Mhm.
bro, if you can just back away long enough, you'll bear witness to their own demise. That's my prophecy, and that's how I see it's going to happen.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
I
why
mean,
I made. Oh, hold on one
go
second.
ahead.
That's why I made it the point. It's really interesting about this book is that like he makes it clear as far as how does he describe it? Anglo-American history, right? So so I think much to your point, I think it's important to point out that like these are sociological trends for Anglo-Americans, right? And so much to your point, you know, it's more about preparing ourselves in a much more African and indigenous way, so that we're not like so essentially we're tied to more of our ancestral ways. We're tied more to the earth versus tied to systems that are crumbling. You know?
Systems that have crumbled.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't disagree, right? But you know, to kind of elaborate on my point, and you know, to kind of you know, just to put it in the context is that we all understand. Uh, the Haitian Revolution. How did that happen? You understand what I'm saying? Like it was. I think there was a grounding of our people coming together, right? But then the it wasn't called an evolution. It was a revolution,
Hmm.
right? And I think that we have to be prepared on all levels, right? So it's not, you know, it's not this or that, right? It is uh any and all, right? Like I mean, when Malcolm talked about, you know, the ballot or the bullet, it was very prophetic, right? In the sense that these are the choices that were given, right? And historically, you know, when we talk about the war between the states, the so-called Civil War,
Hmm.
uh, our people here forced that because it was already happening. You know, on so many levels, you know, the enslaved were done with that system. And it took efforts on uh, a lot of, from a lot of different fronts to push that change. So I advocate for preparedness. and not to be locked into one mode of resistance, right? I mean, I think that there are uh, first resource, and then I think there are last resource, but you have to be prepared for whatever path is necessary to get through the situation, if that
Yeah,
makes
most definitely. I think in this particular case, art of war, knowing your enemy,
sense.
is definitely plays into this particular case, right? Because what I think about all the time is what does that mean in terms of being prepared to basically hold yourself and your family down, right? And so I think about like the fundamentals of food, clothing, shelter, defense, and energy. Those are like the main things I think about because those are all things that like within a small area or a small space, right, you can actually generate on your own. But then thinking about how life changes as a result, how you have to think differently as a result of, defending yourself or defending your community definitely means you have to entertain any and all things, much like you mentioned with the Haitian Revolution. It started, it started, as a trickle. It started in, years before it kicked off in 1791. You feel what I'm saying? Because it's like, it's there's like stages, right? And much of what like Bobby Ken was talking about with those images coming out and just seeing how things are playing out and seeing how essentially everything that we've thought about and things that have been called conspiracy theory is now justified fact about, basically cabals of rich and powerful, doing all types of diabolical things in terms of hurting people across the world. Like that is now like that. Now that's the reality. So now that we know that reality, right? It's not something hidden. It's not conspiracy. It's not something that we just talk about in back rooms. It's something we talk about now. How do you prepare yourself for something like that? How do you know, yeah.
Well,
Well,
I mean,
I
and
feel like
historically,
I feel
there's
like
a another aspect. I'm sorry if I cut you off, Ken.
go
I
ahead,
remember
bro.
reading an article. It may have been a book. I don't remember which, but it talked about unarmed versus armed prophets and the success of each. Right. If you go historically through uh, the study of most prophets, uh, the most successful, had the ability to muster the people.
Hmm.
Even from I mean, especially in the Abrahamic faith, right? So I think it's just something that can be considered, right, amongst all the possibilities and the options that oppressed people and people in general have to get over and to get through. I yield.
Yeah, I was gonna say, y'all know me. For me, I feel like they're trying to trick us into revolution. What I'm quite saying is that they're already dead. The empire's already done. It's expired. So this is actually a rebirth. So my answer is, in order to properly deal with the next crisis, you have to properly put a seal on the last one. Okay. Once again, I'll go over the facts that I used to say America has collapsed. A penny is the basic standard currency unit. They're not printing it anymore because it costs too much. It costs
Hmm.
more to make a penny
Than what it's worth.
than what it's worth. So if you can't see that that means that system is done, that's on you. So what I'm saying is the issue is the next crisis is, as you said earlier, Mario, you got to look at the basics, food, clothing, and shelter, and solve those things for yourself. And I'm saying we've already done that. The revolution was Marcus Garvey. Revolution was W.B. Du Bois. The revolution is Kwame Nkrumah. Those things have already taken place. Babylon is dead. We're in the middle of a rebirth. So my lucid answer is Think like you're rebirthing yourself. Don't go out and sign a 80-year mortgage now. Don't sign a
Uh-huh.
50-year mortgage now. Don't go out and buy real estate right now. Take care of your basic needs and imagine this being a rebirth because it is. They've morally collapsed and economically collapsed. It's a rebirth, not a collapse. I yield.
Yeah, Josie just said the next crisis is AI putting people out of jobs. What do y'all think about that?
Well, shit is also AI creating more jobs, right? I think that people have a natural tendency to be suspicious of new technology. And I think that AI will, I agree with the brother. Yeah, AI is going to displace a whole lot of people. But, you know, I first became, kind of aware of the power of AI in the last corporate job that I had, right? Because
Hmm.
we still, we were doing email marketing and, we went through a whole thing of how to use AI to expedite that process. And like last night, I think I sent that to you, Rio.
Hmm.
Like I just used AI for a marketing plan for some works that I was, that I have, on the shelf. Right, just spit out a marketing plan, and I had it spit out a couple of marketing plans, and they were cognizant, right? And they may not be the end all be all, but they gave me an opportunity to think about the question that I had posed uh, in a fuller way with a broader perspective. So, yes, I agree with the brother that AI will displace, but I also think that it will help to create.
I think
And
that any job that you have, you created it yourself, and that your ancestors are working on your behalf. And I personally said to some friends earlier today, and I'll say it to you brothers now, I look forward to something taking my damn job and the need for a job. I don't have a fear of that. I
right,
think only a person who's like dependent on someone else to create their job will be worried about that. I actually think that it's a job of preparing you to work the jobs of the future than the slave master. Because the last system they set up, they took the college graduates and exploited them by getting them in debt, saying you got to have a degree to work at this little crummy little factory or whatever the hell or
mm,
job. And then they got the people in debt, and then now they got them scared they're gonna lose a job. I'm just saying, get up out the flow to panic.
yeah,
I actually,
yeah,
AI is only as good as the damn electric grid running as well too. So
hmm
how's AI going to work when when there's no power grid for the computers to turn on? So I just think it's all scare tactic and it's a distraction to stop people from using AI as a personal assistant
mm,
as opposed to
right,
a job creator.
yeah,
I mean, what the hell? No one has ever created a job for you. Any job you got it yourself. You created that opportunity for yourself by showing up at that person's business and say, "Hey, I'll hold down a little bit of something. What you got going over here?"
Yeah.
Yes, I.
Yeah.
I think that's
Trippy Fish
absolutely correct.
Trippy Fish Shop said AI can't replace human creatives, right?
They
And
can't.
so there's mad truth to that because right, it's mostly open source, which means it derives from all data that human beings create,
Mm,
you know. Um, but at the same time, I'm not gonna lie and say that AI is not a specific agenda. As we're talking as we're talking about, basically people in higher ups and people in places that AI, whether it's that useful to us or not, they're using that as an excuse, right, to try to replace people. That's why we're seeing so many different people being laid off in so many different sectors that don't necessarily have to be, because because they're literally pushing an agenda that thinking that AI is going to take over, but it's not taking over the way that they think that they think it is,
right,
right? Like people aren't resonating with AI in the same way that they think is just going to take every single thing over. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. Let me see who else is.
Okay, how is it possible that a computer that talks to you can take everything over? I just think
Right.
the language we're using is making something that's a basically a personal assistant tool.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, AI is Fiverr at your disposal now. I'm so sorry. I'm just not going to fall for a mystical expression of what it is. It's basically Fiverr, which is a list of resources, open sources
Mm-hmm.
of people that can do a job. And this thing is just basically a highly, um, highly connected search engine. And the quality that comes out of it is determined by the quality of your question or the quality of your query. So I just like I said, I seek you to demystify AI like it's something other than a personal assistant tool. That's it.
Yeah,
It's a hammer. I mean, it's the new hammer, right? I mean, for the digital age. I mean, hammer, screwdriver, what nail. I mean, whatever you want to call it. I fully agree with what my brother Ken is saying. Like it's there's always resistance to new technology, right? But if you don't understand what it is and how to use it, of course you'll fear it. But the reality is that it's here, right? So you better get and you better have some understanding of what it is.
hmm
So even if you want to avoid it, right, you have to understand what it is and how it can affect your life. And if and just like with any tool, right, you can leave it in the toolbox or you can pick it up as necessary. I think that uh, people buy into the hype of of this system and into the hype of what they say, right? But it's really what do you think and what are you gonna do, right? Because you can blow in the wind, and that means you're gonna be going in whatever direction the wind goes, or you can put up a windmill, right? And profit from what's naturally occurring. Like progress is not gonna stop, right? The cycles continue, right? I don't disagree that this whole situation is coming to
Go
I
ahead,
can't
man.
go. Yeah. While you hammer, could you mute my brother? Thank you, brother. Uh, but I don't like I don't. Uh, it's a human based tool, right? So it's only as good as the user. And
Yeah.
with that, I yield.
All right. So let me go in the comments
Let
here.
me say something to the
Well,
prophecy right quick before you switch the
hold on.
gears there, Mario.
I'm not switching gears. I'm going to the comments. Hold on. So let's see. Trippy Fish Shop said we use more power and water streaming TV shows than we do using AI. So that kind of speaks to a lot of the environmental issues that people say as far as how much water it takes to cool it down. And then Josie is basically breaking down saying that the AI we're using today is basically like the introduction of the internet in '92. So maybe like we're seeing essentially the trickle of AI now, but as far as like replacement of human labor, like within the next 10 to 20 years, we could see a lot of different replacement as far as human labor. And so that becomes the issue, right? Is that if AI is going to start replacing all these different jobs, yet the system is based upon humans exchanging time and their bodies for labor in exchange for money, then how do we then solve the issue with the system as far as basically it kind of falling apart? Like, right, we're human beings, we live on the planet Earth. The system was only created in order for it to make sense under this Western system, in order to make sense of how people live. But once that's eliminated, right, once that level of productivity is eliminated, right, what what then becomes the driving force for humanity under a capitalist system?
Okay, so yeah, I definitely love that train of logic, but I want to just kind of just stay in the spirit of prophecy and say that it's true. There will be less demand for people to do factory jobs because factory jobs are definitely going to be automated. But what I'm saying is, what really happened with the quote unquote AI is people just didn't ask questions about dumb stuff. People started asking questions about themselves, origins of man. They dove into deep scientific research. So as a result, we're better off in our with ourselves. And I can't speak for nobody on the line, but I can speak for myself. I know that when I get my first windfall from AI that's coming around the mountain, I'm not going to abandon my family members. I'm going to basically share that with my entire family. And that's what most of us who build our enterprise are. We're not going to build our new businesses off of their old shitstem. We're actually going to build our those new businesses off of our ancient future, our ancient mind. Now we've got more access to our ancestral rhythm through AI than we have with artificial. Like I said, I don't fall for that old algorithm, spooky ghost that's got us in the machine. We're directing the machine. Whoever made the comment that we spend more money on frivolous things on the internet than AI is absolutely correct. But that's changing. Look how we're using it. We usually would just be three brothers. We might look up and do a conference call with each other. But what are
Mm-hmm.
we doing now? We're gathering on a strongly basis
Yeah.
and chopping it up. And other
Mm-hmm.
one ones are tapping in with questions. This is
Mm-hmm.
growth in the making. So I
Yeah.
end with a simple prophecy. Yes, less of us are going to have to work the few jobs that there are because folks like us are going to build so much wealth with the access to the technology that we won't be affected by their negative one man, one vote system that never really existed. Go work at a factory job and get underpaid, all those things. We won't be susceptible for those anymore because we're smarter than that. We're better than that. I yield.
That's brother. You put it, but beautifully. I mean, that's exactly right. Like you can fear the future, but that ain't gonna stop it from coming. So you might as well prepare for it. In that, I mean, you gotta live in the world, but you ain't of the world. So while you in the world, take advantage of what's here to better yourself. Because if you fear it, that don't stop it. Like the Amish stopped at whatever year they chose to stop at technologically, right? That ain't stopped none of the rest of the world from doing its thing, right? And if you're familiar with the Amish and Rumspringer, they be jumping ship all the time,
Yeah,
right? Because they'll come outside and say there's more out here.
yeah,
Why can't I have the stuff that's out? There's a lot of good stuff out here, right?
yeah.
So you can fear the future if you want to, or you can grab it, and ride the correct waves. Now, I think what it is the importance that people put on the technology. Like I'm not on TikTok except for this, for real. Like I may,
Hmm.
like something might pop up on my phone and okay, but I don't, I purposefully don't give social media a lot of my time, right?
Hmm.
Because at this stage of life, I see it more as a tool. Like when it first came out 20 years ago, for a second, I was enthralled with the new toy. But I mean, not for long, because what the real connections are things like this. What technology can do for to bring people together instead of uh, all the divisive stuff. And I think that this shitstorm to to quote the brothers, can get you caught up in all kind of stuff if you allow it to, or you can use the things that are in front of you to improve yourself.
Well, I'm
You know.
curious, based upon what you just said here,
Mhm.
from 2020 to now, uh, what is like as far as the amount of people that have actually kind of jumped as a result of the what do you call that? Yeah, the when everything closed down, right? Um, More people went on social media. That's what blew platforms like this up. And so now people turn to it in a way that is highly influential. Like just like you're saying you don't you're not on TikTok unless you're actually on TikTok. So how have you seen or have you observed a change in the way people interact because you're not as engaged with social media? Have you changed? Have you seen the way that people change in terms of the way they interact in real life because of the influence of social media?
Not really. Like I think that that is just another link and a different link, but the common touch is still the common touch, right? Like you can't make babies over over the internet, right? Like people use it for all kind of craziness, but like the human touch is what really matters, and anything that can be used to connect people in a positive way can also be used to connect people in a negative way, but it's all about the individual and how the individual uses the tool, right? I mentioned the hammer before. You can take a hammer and you can build a house, or you can bash somebody upside the head. It's the same hammer, right? It's just the way that you use the tool. And when I see an amplification of interaction. Like I'm able to, like we are in three different places, right? Like Ken said earlier, we might have been able to do a conference call 20 years ago, right?
Mhm.
But this was impossible. And this is an extremely positive platforming of use of this platform. So, I mean, it's really all in the ways you take it in the perspective and what you bring to the table and the tool. So, with that, uh, I'll let it be for now.
Okay, so let me add this to the conversation. So people have made parallels to in terms of what's going on now to different times in terms of how human labor was used again under the Western system. So first we talk about slavery, chattel slavery to be exact, as kind of the foundational driver of this civilization, of Western civilization. And at a certain point around the 1800s, they saw that slave labor, I mean, aside from the moral depleted aspect of it, they saw that it wasn't going to last because that format, right, of basically working someone to death was just not going to work, right, or like in long term, right, as far as how things were changing. And so within that change, it went from chattel slave labor to industrialization, right? So now they're trading like basically people are trading right themselves for labor for time to work in the factories, right? And then hence um, a large immigrant population coming to this country in order to supply for that demand of labor, right? And so it went from, and then basically the U.S. economy went from manufacturing to what it essentially is now, which is military industrial complex, right? As far as, and everything tied to it that helps it function on a superpower world stage. Uh, but it's still using that human model of labor in order to keep it functioning. But instead of slave labor, it's wage labor now. So what people are saying with AI is that now it's coming back again to where how many different tasks that have been used for human labor, right? That can now be replaced for time and efficiency utilizing AI. You just don't need as many people using it, right? Or you just don't need as many people present in order to do the same thing. Like I was checking out at Aldi the other day and I remember like, yo, like 10 years ago, they had like 3, 4 people working out, scanning everybody out.
Mhm.
Now they just got one person and they got self check everywhere, right? So just kind of like those basic things. And so, in the same way, we use it as a tool, right? I guess I'll use a car as an example, right? Nobody's riding horses anymore, right? Everybody's driving cars, right? So it's a positive tool, right? So, but also in the process, it's caused extreme environmental damage, right, to the ozone, to basically the bloodthirsty, use of oil in terms of how much money it makes people and how many people it's hurt, right? As far as extracting that oil and the continuation of extracting that oil. So when we look at it from movements, and we see that AI is going to be right, it is and is going to be more of that same transition, and definitely we can use it as a tool. Isn't it wisdom also to look at its impact, right? How it will actually negatively, or maybe not even on a positive and negative scale, but how it will have impact on communities that will not be positive, right? Whether it's environmental, whether it's sociological, whether it's physical. Like, we could talk about the data centers in Memphis, I believe, in other places where basically emissions from these data centers for AI are like deeply polluting these areas and their water. You know what I'm saying? So like, how do we? So again, so when we talk about crisis, like these are like the small onsets, right? To where we see big business utilizing their platform in order to, right, create these system control systems, set up data centers in marginalized communities. How do we empower ourselves in the now, right? Because we see that AI is a tool, but how do we empower ourselves in the now to actually do something to prevent those negative impacts, or to prevent that negative impact?
Okay, so let me respond to that one right quick, Jay. Real quick.
Please.
So what you did was you did a classic switch over into what they did, like the big overview that they did. All of that stuff failed. The objective of slavery was to work us to death, and here we are still living.
Bingo.
But we're not calling them a failure at what they did. What I'm saying is, those of us that use AI, the beginning to start their enterprises and to learn the information about self ancestral rhythm, that's what's happening. That is happening. So you did a great job of talking about their system, but now I want to talk about how we've grown. We went from under the whip of chattel slavery. We're the reason why the North won the Civil War. 35,000 plus black men make their way to the Union side, and we came back and whooped their monkey ass.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So then after that phase, we start building land grant colleges. Or somewhere along that same time, black women start doing their own hair again. Madam C.J. Walker, right now in St. Louis, Annie Malone, a hairdresser, built the Annie Malone Orphanage and Hospital, and she made so much money that she actually created Poro College, and we know for a fact she saved 75,000 black women's lives in the way of it. So what I'm saying is, I'm not impressed with the industrial devolution. All they did was poison the planet. And what I'm saying is, the new thing that's coming down the pike, all the industrial revolution did was create a level of sickness that hovers over the top of the planet, all the way around the globe, in the global north. The industrial revolution, all those pipes and all that petrochemicals that they blew into the air, that's the same stuff that has them so depressed that they're taking all the fentanyl that they can, any type of drug that'll take them out. They're doing it, but we don't never call out their self-destruction as theirs. We try to make it seem like it's ours. So again, I end by saying that AI is going to ruin those factory jobs because they don't care about us making a living. They want to make more money. But what I'm saying is, that system is dependent upon the electric grid coming on. And I'm saying that is the most unrenewable energy. The way that the grid system they created, it's over for that joint. It's done. And right
Okay.
now, you're in
So
rebirth.
so so all right. So take your example. Electricity, the grid is off. So right now that means any towers, any lights that you're using right now, any electricity we use it's off right now. So then what do we do?
Basically, we will actually begin to live. Right now, you're capitulating. You're giving to the system. Every month, you pay airtime for your phone. Right now, you pay for electricity to be pumped to your house. When that system goes down and you don't have to pay that no more, you'll stop being preoccupied with their standard of living. You'll carry your behind outside and pick some of that wild dandelion. You'll start figuring out what's edible out there. You'll start figuring out how to live without a refrigerator, and you'll watch your health skyrocket. What most of us need is a good 20-day fast from the way we've been eating, thinking we eating high on the hog. You're going to get a bounce when this thing, when we finally realize it's over, we're actually going to get a bounce. I won't be able to buy those little $2 for $1 bags of Lay's potato chips, and my health is going to get a serious bounce when I can't buy no more ginger ale, when I can't buy no more high fructose corn syrup in the corn, the cranberry juice. All that is going to, we're actually going to come to our senses. I prophesy in 7 days. I yield. 7 days,
What you
and
got
you
there,
will have
Vision?
rebuilt yourself.
I have to agree, right? I mean, it's you know, I mean, what the world don't stop moving, man, and it's the way we move through it. And one thing that our people have always had a talent to do
Man, y'all keep giving me these
is
global ass answers. I'm talking about if lights turned off right now, what are you doing? And what have you done to prepare
Okay, I'll
for
answer
that?
that. Candles.
huh?
I'll do get our candles. I'll take stock of the pantry and I'll start gathering firewood and I'll start like regretting and kicking myself that I didn't do certain things, like get some of them walkie talkies. It's technology out here right now that we can use to do everything we're doing, but we choose to pay the dumbass way. Everybody on this call could go get a walkie-talkie right now where I can talk to you right here in California while you're in Florida. That CB radio, that walkie-talkie has been for sale since the 60s. But we'll rather give Nextel, Sprint, T-Mobile, AT&T, the people that you're psychologically under the influence of because of social media. That's what you'll do. You'll go get your candles. You'll go get your matches. You'll round up every lighter you got. You'll start gathering firewood. You'll start noticing, you know what, man, I used to love them honeysuckles when I was little. Oh, I got an auntie that's growing muscadine grapes that I ain't never touched. I got a cousin with a banana tree. I ain't never got no banana off that tree. What'll happen is we will respond in kind and our health will improve. And I'm only lifting my voice like this to amplify because this is greater than that. I'm not part of the pandemic. I know for a fact that we will do better. We've always done better when they kicked us out of the system. Let's face it. We kicked the door in to get into their businesses so we could eat them Cheetos and them damn burgers, man. Come on, man. We kicked their door in so we could get fat, strung out, and horny like them.
Oh no.
Wow.
Yeah.
You ain't lying though. You ain't lying. You ain't lying. Well, you ain't lying.
The moment they cut the grid off, we will stop committing suicide immediately. We'll be
You know, I
living
mean,
again. We'll be living for one. So bring it on. Turn the electricity off. Let's get it. Black people, the only time we really come up with the ingenuity of what we can is when they try to X us out. Y'all heard about the brother in Zimbabwe right now. The man has a radio wave run car. The car runs off radio waves. That's the next level. I'm going to prophesy again right now. We're going to, everyone on this line who can hear me and the ones who can't, you're going to come to a point where you recognize the only renewable energy on the planet Earth is you. You're also going to recognize life out here, it ain't no damn crappy movie called The Matrix. You're the Matrix. You're born of a feminine womb-based entity and a feminine womb-based universe. You popped up out of there. And so you're going to recognize that the reason the car starts and it goes where it's going is because you have intentions to go there. That's the future. Energy is already out there. Once we recognize I already got Bluetooth technology within I, then you'll be able to like connect to your speakers. All that stuff's going to happen. We're going to realize with you, we have more BTUs popping off right now by inhaling and exhaling than an air conditioner by far. I yield. Take my blood pressure down a little bit.
I mean, that's a yeah. I mean, life don't stop regardless of what the technology is. So I can't dispute anything that my brother said, man. I think it's all right.
So you don't think there's a possibility of preparing beforehand?
I
Like,
think
you know
we're
what I'm
already
saying?
prepared, bro. You're a
You said what now?
PhD in the information age, brethren. You're a PhD with a master's degree in the information age. You're already ready. Our women have more degrees than any other subsegment of this people of the nation. We're actually already ready. We're just fighting. We're just looking for like it's a collapse when it's a rebirth. We already have the degrees, the will and intent, and all the information we need to divorce these cave people. But we right here with them. We just won't go down and turn the paperwork in for the divorce. Just go divorce them. Once you divorce and once you say, I ain't need no more Cheetos, I ain't need no more Dinty more, I ain't need no more whole paycheck, I ain't going up in there, then you live. You're gonna get slim. Most of us are just probably got an extra 30, 40 pounds of us at least on us from just down out saturated fats and high fructose corn sweet oil. Our teeth are falling out because we can't even handle this shit.
Hey, yo, for everybody in the group and everybody, if you can drop in the comments, what are some things that you're doing or thinking about doing as far as preparing for a next crisis, right? I know in one particular way, natural disasters are definitely a good test to see how prepared you are, just in terms of like, for survival's sake. But if you could drop in the comments, what are ways that you are preparing for the next crisis? Yeah. But oh yeah, and definitely while we're taking this quick little break, I want to thank everybody for joining in the BMG podcast. We basically go live every Wednesday from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 to 8 Central. What is that? 5 to 7 Mountain, and then 4 to 6 West Coast. So definitely appreciate y'all hanging out with us. So definitely if y'all are watching this, please tap the screen, show some love, show some love to the live. If you feel like somebody that you know would appreciate this conversation, this discussion that we having, please share the live to somebody that would definitely love to be part of this conversation. Let's see. Josie says, I have solar ready 180 MREs, right? Bags of rice, beans, water filtration, and weapons, right? So those are definitely some strong basics, some strong foundations to have. I've definitely seen like solar panel generators, definitely generated by solar panels. So, uh, I'm in the sunny state of Florida, so that's definitely a plus for me. And those things can actually power smaller refrigerators. Those things can actually power uh, larger appliances, um, things of that nature. So, and of course, we talked about pew pews earlier. I'm not a strong user of those things, but that's definitely something I got to learn about and do a lot more of. That's not something that I came up learning. Um, but as far as like water storage, I spent like the past 2 years learning how to grow food in this specific tropical or subtropical environment. Um, so yeah, I feel like we can all take steps, just to be prepared because and really not just for ourselves either. again, like I'm saying, for our families. Because, one thing I talked to my wife about is that, I use a CPAP machine at night, man, for
Mm.
breathing, because otherwise I don't get enough oxygen from breathing. And so, just like my man Ken said, like, man, it actually behooves me to drop some of this polyunsaturated fat because, without the lights on, my likelihood of living is reduced significantly just from not being able to sleep well. You feel what I'm saying? So by no means when I'm asking these questions, I'm like, yo, I'm strapped up, ready to go. It can go down right now, motherfucker. Let's go. You know, by no means am I saying that, but because I understand it's a process, and I think there was somebody in the comments earlier that said there is no preparing for genocide. What did they say? There's no preparing because genocide is going on now. Can't stop it, but we are. So what are you prepared for? Right? That's some people's reality. That right now genocide is going on, as we know, and not just in Palestine, but as far as what's going on in Sudan. So those are all strong reminders of the possibilities of what could and what can happen. So that's why we bring up this conversation. Like, hey, are we really prepared? And and not coming from a fearful standpoint, but just like really taking stance and taking account of like where we are, so that as things do fall apart, like what is your exit plan? How like you mentioned with whether it was the walkie talkies or whatever. How do we get in contact with loved ones if they shutting down borders, if they're shutting down ports? How the hell do you get up out of here? You know?
I
I
think
mean,
if you
it can be madness. I mean, things can be madness, but just being a part of Generation X, man. I remember being a little boy, and everybody on the block had a garden, right? The whole block had a garden. Fresh tomatoes were something, and I don't even eat tomatoes, right? But fresh lettuce, fresh greens, like those were things that I remember neighbors used to just bring baskets of food, and it was, I mean, the gardens was self perpetuating. The people put I remember my grandfather having a huge garden. My grandmother's having huge gardens, right?
Yeah.
And pulling food out of those. I think some of the folk ways that we may have lost. I think those are some things that we need to invest in now. Like you said, you're learning gardening at where you're at.
Hmm.
Not just, and it's not just for food. There's something about putting your hands in the dirt and growing something that fulfills you on a different level than dealing with so-called technology, right? Like humanity is grown food forever. Now we're in a we're in a shitty capitalist system right now that modulates the way that we live, but the way that people naturally live is like that. And I think we've gotten away from that. And I think the closer that we get to the earth, even before the so-called fall, the better we'll be at the point of inflection, right? And
Jay
I
Bailey,
and I
Jay Bailey, Jay Bailey.
yeah.
Why you keep saying so-called fall, man? It's like you just crumbling on my
Listen, no,
peoples,
no,
man.
no, 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 no. When I say so-called fall, it's not because I'm not being facetious, but it's about values, right? Like like the fall is already happened. You know what I mean? As far as I'm concerned, like the morality of the state, all this shit is already dead, right? So, when talking about a fall in the future, I'm already past that, right? So when I call it so called, I'm not being facetious or sarcastic. I'm saying that because it's already happened, right? We just have to catch up to what's already there. Does that make sense?
It does.
All right.
All right, so I wanted to add this to what you just said, Jay. So right here in my hand, I just got this yesterday from my brother. This
What
is
is that?
bulletin number 36. This is written by Dr. George Washington Carver. Title of the
Hmm.
book is How to Grow the Tomato and 115 Ways to Prepare it for the Table. This book was written in 19, the first copy in 1918, and then this version here is written in like 36. You feel me?
Right,
So what I'm
right,
saying is we're prepared, family.
right,
We have
right.
the education and we have the DNA of agricultural subsistence in our hands. Green thumb, Asar, in the ancient Egyptian, Asar was green. Not just the
Yeah.
thumb, the whole damn man is green. We're green. If we start eating right, if we get enough chlorophyll inside of our system, enough blue green algae, you'll see that you're green. And I'm just saying that I'm not trying to be contrary to my brothers. I love y'all, but
Hmm.
I'm saying I'm the voice today that's saying spiritually, know that you're already prepared. We can grasp the idea of already have it. If we try to claim something through manifestation, then we'll pay money to somebody to tell you, okay, what you have to do is imagine that you already
Hmm.
have it. Well, I'm saying to you right now, they've collapsed. You're already prepared. You know how I know?
Hmm.
Because nobody on this phone became homeless when that pen when they told you last year that the penny was worthless, they was gonna stop doing it because it cost too much. They told you the nickel cost 8 cents and the penny cost more than that. What you reckon? What at that moment you became liberated. It's over, fam. If anybody on this line who's dependent on your social security check or whatever else investments you got in there, if you think that that's going to run perpetual, good luck with that. Good luck with that. And I don't say that facetiously. I say that
No, that's
literally. I
real.
mean, like, if there was ever somebody that needed some
That's the
luck,
truth,
you're
bro.
it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You're it because that's what you're going to need is luck. If you're not going to use what resources you have to work your way to a piece of land where you can compost and you can make it happen in the form of food. You know, there's more ways to get food than going to the corner store. That's just another way that you're going to have to go back to. Because as soon as you start baking your own bread, soon as you start pulling that stuff off the vine, soon as you get back into eating it straight out the dirt, even without washing it off, you're going to be good to go.
I mean, to build on what my brother said, man, you held up Carter G. Woodson's pamphlet. Uh, I ordered and I received in the last couple of weeks the Old Farmer's Almanac, and the reason that I picked it up, I was just it crossed my mind because my grandfather kept one. Right, he kept one. Like, and I used to look at it all the time when I was a child. Like they would keep it in the bathroom. He actually they have several of them. Right, sitting around the house, and if you're familiar with the almanac, it talks about crop rotation and phases of the moon and all of these best times to plant all of these things, right? Um, so I think that being prepared is just being able to look back in our natural genetic memory and get closer to the earth. There's something about putting your feet and your hands in the dirt, right? And for this the upcoming fourth turning, as you call it, I think that you have to have an individual and an internal re-evolution. You understand? To get closer to the things that are true, not only in you but in the earth. Right? I turned off Amazon Prime today. Right? Like I turned it off. The bill came and I was like, I'm not messing with this no more. Because it's more profitable for me to write. And any distraction I can that I can cut out of my life that prompts me to do what I'm called to do, which is speak, teach, and write. Right, the basis of those things being thinking and putting those ideas out and sharing ideas with brothers such as yourself is a better way to live. Right, so we have to plug into better ways to live. And you have to be prepared for what's to come. And with that, I'll back up off of it.
Can you back on? Oh, yeah. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, surprisingly and very exuberantly, I totally agree with everything my brother Jake just said. Can you hear me, guy?
Yeah, man. Great minds think alike, my brother.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, I put it to you like this. This is I finally figured out what it is. I think we're at a crossroads where you have to decide whether this is a revolution or a rebirth, and you have to decide which mode of what frequency you're going to operate in. Okay, so for some people, this is a time for a revolution because they want to pretend like their system is still in existence. It's over. If your bank account was $2 trillion in debt, could you still write checks and go on? See, just because somebody, just go let that sit for a minute. If your bank account was $2.30 in the negative, could you just keep on going? No, you can't. But because they tell you every day on the news that theirs is in a deficit, and we just keep on going with the charade. Okay? So what I'm saying is that's what that is. But in our personal lives, the way it's going to affect us is when we just say to ourselves, you know what? That's really not affecting me anyway. I'm actually going to utilize my time and energy to create specific results. I chose the one about the tomato because, as Ross, we took, no one was feeling us when we told you Gandhi was the healing of the nation. But I know these spaghetti eating Negroes out here can feel me when I say the tomato is the healing of the nation. It's one of the easiest fruits to grow. And yes, it's a fruit for all you uptight, folks. It's a fruit. It's one of the easiest ones to grow. And we're about to find out what it means to be eating one fruit meals or one vegetable meals. These are about to get a little bit simple. Little things that you take for granted, like rice and beans. You want to just try some beans? You want to just try some rice? You want to just try some couscous with a little butter, maybe, if you come up on some of that? See, we're already prepared. Places like Haiti, Haiti, Cuba. I've been to Cuba 2 times. I'm letting you know, the people are more fit. They're making sense of what's going on without the store. So I'm saying, A, we're already prepared. B, you wanna respond to this as a rebirth, not a revolution. A revolution is their way of doing stuff. That means the people that they've been disrespected get fed up. They created the guillotine and lynching for that purpose. So yeah, that's what they're gonna do with their thing. But I'm letting you know that the way that they feed themselves and the way they have banned junk food that America makes in other countries, we're looking at a very small amount of time before this country, tis of thee, the people are going to meet the same fate as the buffalo, because what they're going to do is like shoot themselves with a musket by keep going up in these fast food restaurants and going to convenience stores. I'm just saying, wait on it, family. They don't stay out of here.
Popeye's chicken sandwich mayhem up in there.
Man,
People destroying themselves for the rest of the evening.
Oh man, yeah.
But on that same level though, right? So then, I'm just gonna throw this out there. So say you live you are in a space. You're in California. You're in a space where there's an enclave of abundance, and then let's say, again, just for the sake of argument, while someone else's revolution is going on and you're handling and you're living your rebirth, what happens, or like, would those ever intertwine where someone's revolution that's causing destruction could actually impose and impinge on how you're living in your rebirth? Peace, Netaru. Peace, Pharaoh. How y'all feeling, man? Welcome to the live, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and like crank it up into the like the total just cosmic stratosphere right quick. Just to say, just another prophecy of like I want to go deep away from when we start eating right, when we like get up off that poison titty that we own. Okay, right now the psilocybin that has all the answers that comes from like the bovine animals, like the cattle and different things. These things right there. And so right now we see every part of our body as like nasty because we've been living next to a really a dangerous PDF. This person is just so horrible that we keep thinking that we're like that, and we're not. But I would like to propose this as well. When we finally get our it together and start eating back from the woods, eating off the ground, eating off the vine, we're gonna find out that the poop that we leave behind and the mushrooms that grow off of that is gonna be the dopest psychedelic of all time. Rastafari, because what's happening is we don't understand who we are within the ecological system because we've been urbanized and we've been nummified, but you haven't been dummified. Your DNA cannot be erased. You can only intoxicate yourself long enough to not pay attention to it, but there's going to be an increase. This is prophecy of people hearing messages in their head and start responding and doing things and just kind of coming to their senses because that's what happens when you put a life form on the line. You back a little small rabbit up in the corner, it ain't going to be none of that bow down. You're going to have a fight on your hands. And that's what it is. I'm saying right now, I'm begging that one and ones will believe in themselves and recognize that we're not gonna just bow down and die. This is actually bringing out the best in us, and we're showing how upright we are because we have every right to pick up arms and all that, like people said. But why are we not doing that? Because it's not necessary. Just like y'all said a couple of weeks ago, sit back and watch the movie. But don't eat popcorn fast while you watch the movie. Huh? Come on, man. Just sit back and watch that movie and fast and get your body detoxed. Because what I'm thinking is if a spaceship pulls in and they want to beam you up, Scotty, like they did on Star Trek, how they gonna be beaming up all them Pop-Tarts you still eating? How they gonna be beaming up the candy bars, the Snicker bars, and all the bullshit that's in your tape that the daggone machine would not recognize? Like, why would this person poison himself like that? When you get decomposed and put back together like that, you don't want to try to put that same Snicker bar back into your body. I'm just saying, family, let's clean ourselves up. I think if we start going on a series of fasts, we'll realize that we're already prepared. We're already prepared. I yield.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. I think I definitely think that's a great that's the greatest mentality and vibration to be on, man. Is exactly that. Is how are you? Because here's what I've come to understand, like in my own right, is that you know for so long I took for granted essentially the world and the system that we live in, right? And more importantly, my part in it and my part of it. And to see how it's changing, much like Jay Bailey was saying, being Gen X, it's it's definitely a change in outlook. It's a change in terms of how we think things are supposed to be. And like I was saying before, um, a lot of these ideas that we talk about behind rooms are being justified in real time, documented by the very people we consider to be the greatest oppressors of Black people, right? So what I find is that now is the time where not like I feel like we have to juggle both, which is be like break it down to as practical as we can be as far as skills that sustain our livelihood, right? But then on the other end, we have to be able to dip into the greatest extent, like you're doing it, the greatest extent of our imagination in terms of the daily life that we actually create and live. Because we in real time are awakened to the fact that this life that we're in is exactly what we're created. So just as important as it is to prepare ourselves for crisis, just important as it is to prepare ourselves for all different types of things, at the same time, the more we exercise our imagination, the more that we exercise everything that we are a part of, we can actually, and we are actualizing it in real time. Peace, Jawara. How you feeling, brother?
Peace, my brother. How you doing, beloved?
Doing all right, man. How's everything with you?
All is well. Give thanks for life. I'm listening to the items, reasoning. You know what I'm saying? And with the eyes' permission, Baba Ken, I think, which is probably the elder in the group, I would like to ask your permission to speak. Yeah. All right. Give thanks. I've been hearing the reasoning, and I wanted to touch on when the lights go out. Okay, because that was a very important. That was a very important question. When the lights go out, we're having this conversation. When the lights go out, the importance of this conversation starts to manifest, right? So the first thing we need to do is make sure that wherever we position ourselves on the planet, we're on the mission. Okay, we're on code 24/7. We're on call 24/7 with ourselves and to our family, right? There's drills that we can do to prepare ourselves for if the lights go out, okay? Simply grab your family and turn out the lights at nighttime. Run drills in the house at nighttime with the lights out. Everybody need to know where everything is and how to navigate around it. If you have a backyard and you a man and you're not working out, you need to take the lightest person in your family into the backyard and run around the backyard with them 2 or 3 times, dead weight. Because you might have to pick up a family member and run a whole block with them and you ain't worked out in 20-something years. And you ate that Snickers and you had whatever in your belly. You see what I'm saying? There's certain things that we can really just get into like right now today and just leave all the ghost talk alone. You know, leave all the imaginary shit alone and just get right to it. You see what I'm saying? If you really want to find out what you made of, start running them drills. Start seeing where your wind is at. How many people in the chat know their blood type?
Thank you.
You understand what I'm saying? How many are growing muscle? You know what I'm saying? How many people in the chat really just know their blood type? Because if you don't know that, you don't even know how many lives you could save or if somebody could save yours. You understand what I'm saying? Like these things are important. You know what I mean? So we got to really get into that. The brother had mentioned psilocybin and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? And I submit this as well. You know, as soon as you can, find you some plants that you eat that got seeds in it. Start spitting seeds back out into the earth. Start shitting out watermelon seeds and stuff like that on the dirt though. On the dirt though.
That's right.
On the dirt though.
Y'all sitting on your yard right about now?
On the dirt
That's
though.
what y'all doing?
Because what's missing, because listen what I'm saying, what's missing in the ecosystem is humans doing the work that we used to do before technology and synthetic food took over.
Doing our duty on the earth.
Do you see what I'm saying? The animals do it. The animals eat seeds and stuff and pass them seeds and it run through their system and all of a sudden you got a plant. And guess what? That plant is tailored to the DNA of that animal. Okay? We don't have food that feed us nutrition anymore because we ain't even putting the DNA and enzymes in it from spitting out seed no more.
Into Mother Earth.
It's not running through our system no more. So the plants that's growing, we can't even say they for human consumption if it didn't pass through a human.
Lord have mercy.
You see what I'm saying? That's how this thing works on a level. You dig what I'm saying? So it's like, it's a lot of things that we can exercise like right now that we can control. You know what I'm saying? The fasting is one of them. Yeah, we need to slow a lot of shit down in order to fast. You know what I'm saying? Because it's good for the soul. It's good for the spirit. It's good for the body to take a break and to just process what's already there. It's like we're downloading and overloading ourselves with so much that we've become obese about it. You know what I'm saying? Like big people are big with information too. There's a lot of information stored in that fat. Stop playing. You understand what I'm saying? There's a lot of experience and emotion, which is information and energy stored in that body. You dig what I'm saying? So we got a lot of things that we could do like right now to get it started, Ross. Like we ain't gotta wait. You just gotta have enough courage to put it in play, like today. Like, don't let this conversation, don't let 5 minutes after this conversation catch you on some fuckery. Right after we just had this build up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta get on it right as you feel it. Like, you gotta do it when you see it. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you feel good, you want to praise God, you stop what you're doing and you do that. You got to do that with everything, though. You got to do that with everything. You see what I'm saying? It ain't just the Almighty. You know, the Almighty done Almighty'd already. That's already done. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Almighty done did the work. Like, we got to catch up, bro. We got to catch up. We got to catch up. So I just wanted to, you know what I'm saying, put that out there because the conversation is powerful. And I felt, felt like I could just kind of,
Hey man, good things for adding on to it, my brothers. I truly
Thank you, brother.
appreciate it. And I hear you doing great things with the is a restaurant, it's a juice bar in LA. Is that what you're doing right now?
My Lord, it's let me see. So what I do is I have the First Church of Mycology, right? The First Church of Mycology is a place where people in the community can come if they're interested in cultivating mushrooms or just learning about mushrooms and fungus. You know what I'm saying? Because at the time when that wasn't big on anybody's list of things to be, talking about. And I felt like we needed a change of conversation for a minute because we was just kind of burnt out on what we were all talking about. So mycelium is the new conversation as it pertains to different mushrooms for different reasons and benefits of the body, because they're finding out that, our bodies is much like the fungus. And so they work together very well. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the mushrooms that are out there help our filtration systems in our body, which we call organs, which is really just filtration systems. Our blood's got to go through different chambers to give us the ultimate and optimal results so that we can function the way we function. So that's why we have these different filters the way we have them. You see what I'm saying? If you look at them closely, they all stem from the spinal cord. You see what I'm saying? So, which is an extension of the brain. So it's all our brain. Everything we have is to protect the brain. The brain is the most holy place. In the tabernacle, the most holy place has the Ark of the Covenant. You see what I'm saying? Which is the two angels, the mercy seat, the law, the pot of manna the pot of manna and Aaron rod that budded. You see what I'm saying? All that's in the most holy. You see what I'm saying? All that's in our mind. Okay. So all that being said, that's what the First Church of Mycology is about. It's about a threefold tabernacle that I call a labernacle. You know what I'm saying? Because of the science of the body and the spirit as well. You know what I'm saying? And the soul. And every being on this planet that work together in an endless ecosystem to allow an experience to happen. Because the truth is, we think we just this solid one person, right? But you got all kinds of funguses that ensure your survival here. You got all kinds of bacteria that got to do their job to make sure you could be here too.
And what type of mushrooms are y'all growing?
So right now it's real simple. It's a cordyceps vibe. It's a oyster mushroom vibe. It's a lion's mane vibe. And then it's a lot of extracts and things that come from people who know how to do those extra things to bring other mushrooms into the forest to enjoy as well. Because it's very hard to grow a chaga mushroom indoors. You know what I'm saying? A lot of mushrooms are hard to cultivate indoors. You know what I'm saying? Because they're an outdoor situation that wasn't meant to come out your house or out your lab or nothing like that.
And I just want to say, in the spirit of that's basically preparation. The fact that the First Church of Mycology is in place and has been for the last 2 years is designed for as the awakening takes place. You know what I'm saying? We're prepared, because I truly believe, once again, I speak in the spirit of prophecy. It's just a matter of time before people go to the store to get some shiitake or some portobellos instead of some ground beef or some bomba clot commercially genetically generated so-called chicken stuffs. You see me? Mushrooms is the healing of the nation. For real, for real, for real. I see you pick somebody else up on the line.
They're very easy to cultivate.
Yeah. So we have a CLT. He said he had something to add to the conversation. You can come off you, CLT. What you got to share, my friend?
What you have to do, CLT, is punch your picture, and you'll see your microphone where you can touch and turn your microphone on. There you go.
There I am. Thank you. So this is my first time coming on live. We're
No problem. Welcome to
we stay
BMG
pretty much
Podcast.
off grid.
Mhm.
And coming back to the original point, preparing our families for crisis, and obviously it'll depend on how intense the crisis is. Like a Carrington event. I don't know if you're familiar with the Carrington event. It was a
Can
solar
you explain
flare
that?
back in
Yeah,
1859.
schoolers, bro, schoolers. Come on with it.
Yeah.
So there was a solar flare that it it caught the bare copper wires, the telegraph wires. It caught those wires on fire, and people who were on the ends of the telegraphs tapping the thing, they were electrocuted. And this was just from a solar flare. Imagine what that could do to like anything from computers, televisions, watches, the starter in your car. It could like fry anything with like high amounts of copper. And it would literally set us back to the dark ages. And so growing up, we were always very outdoorsy. My grandfather, bless his soul, he was a 3-war veteran, and committed his whole life to America and family. And it was always, they went hand in hand, his country and his family. So we learned like Boy Scout stuff. But he's an Eagle Scout. I'm an Eagle Scout. My boy's an Eagle Scout. Like we, really have a strong idea of being like earthy people, having your hands in the dirt, spending some time in the woods, learning about things like, especially nowadays with the technology we have. You go out in the woods and you see this beautiful flower, and you take a picture of it, and your phone will tell you what it is. It'll tell you if it's edible. It'll tell you what the uses are for it. But coming back from that, the things that we learned growing up were, I lost my grandfather when I was 19. This was decades ago, but there was so much I wanted to learn from him. And the one thing that always keeps coming back, the phrase that he always said was, "You have to have something for sale." And what he meant by that was you have to have value. You have to have something that that makes you important. I mean, obviously we love one another, and family members, even if they don't have a lot to offer, of course we're still going to love them. But like in a crisis situation, you have to have something under your belt. You've got to have a tool to use. You have to have at least something. And if it's major crisis, like global crisis, like a Carrington event, I think the most important part of that is community and people with you, people you actually physically spend time with and have in your space, because all of the like social media, telephone, all that stuff would be gone. All you have left is you, your family, and your community, the people actually physically around you. And it's important to make sure that, because like we my neighbor across the road, he's got a big field that he uses for a community garden. Anybody can just come down, till a square off, and plant your whatever it is you want to plant. If it's a vegetable garden, or there's a woman that comes down, an older woman, and she does like cut flowers. She plants gladioli and sunflowers, and all these just different various cut flowers. One of the guys, he just does pumpkins. In the fall, he gives out all the pumpkins for the kids so they can make jack-o'-lanterns. But like in a crisis, like a world shutdown, terror kind of crisis, that's kind of the basis of what we are going to need as people, as individuals. We need to have, you got to have some kind of benefit to what you're doing, and you have to have community. My neighbor on the other side of my property, he raises Highland cow for beef, and So everybody kind of works on a trade basis. Sometimes it's cash. If we have cash, I got my, just got paid, and here's the thing, and we can make. Sometimes it's trade. Sometimes, I'll give you, 4 dozen egg for, a couple pounds of bacon or whatever, like just to, and those are the things that aren't going to collapse in a crisis. I mean, obviously, depending on the crisis, if we end up with like nuclear winter, yes, our chickens aren't going to make it, and things like so.
Right.
It gets deeper. But when a crisis occurs, your Facebook friend from Indiana that you met at a festival one time, they're not gonna be there for you in a crisis. It's going to be someone local. It's going to be someone close, and it's difficult. And the more we grow, the more we learn about ourselves, the fewer friends we find out we actually have. Our community gets smaller the more we heal. The stronger we get individually, the more we understand about ourselves, the smaller our community gets. It's unfortunate, but it's beneficial as well. That's kind of how we grow. When we're kids, we're friends with everybody. We learn who not to be friends with and who isn't going to help when the S hits the fan.
Let me touch in on something real quick. The crisis. For me, I hear two things. I hear crisis and then I hear Christ assist. And I say that because in those moments, it calls for the God in you. Okay, it calls for you to have a different kind of response mechanism.
Yes, sir.
In position. Okay, the most important thing I could imagine in a crisis or crisis is the level of calm that you would have had to develop. Okay, because it takes calm in order to think. Okay, sporadic thought has its place. Exciting thought has its place, but that calm space is what gets the job done. It's what gets people to follow the necessary lead to get to the next step after such a catastrophe. Okay, what I've experienced when we go into these type of things and nature has to wreak havoc for a minute in order to shake us up, the first thing we do is come together. When everybody ain't got nothing at the same time, okay, and you can't blame nobody for it, there's a certain amount of humanity that sets in, okay? All babies and kids become all adults' responsibility. All old people get the respect that they've been looking for their whole life all of a sudden.
Amen.
You understand what I'm saying? And men become men again.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Let me have to that. And also, one and one starts snuggling again.
Yes.
Like one and ones be like out here paying all this money for the damn gas bill every damn year. Like they don't know that if you huddle up 3 or 4 family members in that bed, the human body heat is enough to keep you there, no matter what the temperature is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is a very serious topic we're talking about today.
Mm-hmm.
On one level, I love everybody here, but on one level, I'm almost embarrassed at how we're talking about it like we don't know what this is. The people on this line, we're the ones who taught the world how to make habitat. Habitat, the habits that you keep when the lights go out. I want to get metaphysical for a second with this question too. What happens when the light goes out is your melatonin kicks in. Again, your melatonin kicks in. That part of you allows your infrared vision to come into focus, and you start operating in a more nocturnal sense, and you begin to see within the light things that you didn't ordinarily see before because you're sitting up here depriving yourself of your superpowers by the convenience where you live in. It's such a blessing for Aboriginal one-on-ones out there right now where when the sun go down, the grid is over. Those human beings are tapped in because you begin to get rest when the overpowering light comes down. But we out here working the second damn shift, pop blasting yourself with the overhead lights, you're creating a sense of danger about yourself trying to stay up to watch primetime TV or to eat the meal at the wrong time. It's just self-sabotage. All I'm saying, beloved, is that I just want to just say we're prepared already and rebirth. Most of us been hip to the people that's living off the grid 10, 15, 20 years now. In Missouri, the great Reverend Larry Rice. There, I said it. Yeah, I got a white man that I think is a great white man. Larry Rice has a very serious off the grid facility in the state of Missouri. You need to go out there and see. They kicked him out of the city because he was helping people that were, without homes, unsheltered.
Yeah.
And so he had to go build something out there. So I want to give a special thanks to our guests that tapped in. Appreciate your experience and
Shout
tapping
out to
in
you,
with us,
LT.
my friend. Yeah, man. And
Appreciate you, man.
I love what the things he said are true, family. It all comes to pass. That isolation, when you first do it, it all comes to pass. And that's what it is. But I just want everybody to know you already ready. You already ready.
And the most important thing for us to do is not only make sure that we're ready for it, but make sure our families are ready for it. I think it was you. So I can't see the whole name. All I see is Baba K.
Ken, I'm in. That's right.
Okay, so I heard you talk about things like fitness and discipline. And was that you was talking
Yeah,
about?
absolutely. Yes,
You pick up your child and you run around the yard with your child and play, and it's to teach us how to do it, but also to teach them how to know how to do it. If you pick up your kid and they're squirming and screaming and you've never done it before, it's going to be difficult. We need to be close to our people always. And I pick up my wives and I carry them around the yard. I'll throw her up on my shoulders, and like it's we have to have we have to have enough emotion and love to know how to do these terrible things if we have to do them. If I have to just pick somebody up and fucking run, they might not even know why I'm picking them up and running. They just have to, understand that, like, you trust me enough to, it's a game, grab your kid and run, and it's a game, and the kid doesn't know, but as long as they think it's a game, they're going to play along, kind of thing.
So I had a question for you. I had a question for you, sir.
Like we've been through fires and stuff, but.
Yeah, just didn't want to cut you off there. I just had a question though. I was really, my friends will tell you, I'm constantly trying to say what sounds like sensational or shocking, but I've always said that one of the best sanctuaries for quote unquote polygamy is in isolation and is off the grid. So, is that what? Could you just give us a little insight on what made you decide to go past that so-called moral law and have more than one wife?
Yes, absolutely. So, my wife that I fell in love with, she was, when we met, I was 42 and she was 54, and she had a hysterectomy, couldn't have any children. She wanted children, never could have them, and she is, I guess, blanket term, she's bisexual, so she's interested in women too.
Okay.
And we had this mutual friend for years that we've known, and she wanted to have children. So we brought her into the relationship, and it's a very parent-child oriented relationship. Like, of course it's sexual, because I wouldn't marry somebody if it wasn't going to, have those benefits too. But the primary reason was this woman, she never met a good man, never had a good family, didn't understand, like, a relationship, didn't know, like, love and family and community and tenderness and protectiveness. As a man, I feel, compelled to be a protector. And if there's a woman on the street who needs protection, I would probably be that protector too. It doesn't just extend to my family. So we have 2 children, and they're, they help with the house, they work in the garden, and none of it's ever like why are you slacking on their skills? Like they love to get up and they've already, done with their breakfast before we're ready to get up in the garden. And like, they love the community feel of having a close family and have purpose too. And so they go to public school, and we have regular tax paying jobs and things, but we come home, and like I said, we're not 100% off the grid. Obviously, like I have internet, so but um the most important thing is community. It's the most important thing is community. And community, I mean, like, it's a very broad blanket term. It can mean like internal family, close relations with your family. That's community too. But then also have friends and neighbors. That's community. But then also like local support groups and the fire department. Like if the world grid shut down, you think the fire department wouldn't respond if they would notify, like, of course they would find a way to
Okay.
get the truck started and get to the place. And so that kind of like very base core is community, and then being able to being in a place to accept community,
Gotcha.
being in
Well,
a
look,
place
check it
where
out, man. We
community
appreciate
will
all
come
that
to you.
input, man. Much respect, much respect, much respect.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. We, like I said, we appreciate you stepping up to the stage. We're gonna jump back into our topic because I know I apologize as usual, Mario, for taking it off into the stratosphere, but
I think we
That's
anchored
always
right in on where we
appreciated.
need to
yeah,
be.
man.
No,
Give
no,
thanks, brother.
because what you and CLT brought into the conversation is exactly what we're talking about when we're talking about preparing our families, right? And more importantly, what do families look like? I think what CLT brought up, and again what you brought up is the fact that, and then even Ja Ora, as far as like how are we preparing our families, right? Because we all have to be of one mind, one accord when it comes to playing our position. If we plan on, right, like sustaining each other and sustaining ourselves, and so we have to play very different roles versus, I guess what we've done in the past.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so I just want to just really thank CLT because he said it, not me, that one of the ways we can prepare for the next crisis is polygamy. I definitely think that's a real wise thing you brought to the table, CLT. Thank you so much. You know what I'm saying? And all disagreements about polygamy being like about better preparation for that, please direct those emails to CLT there. You know what I'm saying? All that stuff to
Oh no!
So that wasn't my point, and it is kind of a rare case. It's not like, so like I never would have thought that I would have been interested in anything like this. I've always been like a one man, one woman, and it's us and them, me and you, babe, kind of thing. And she knew that I wanted children, and we talked about a surrogate. We met a couple of surrogates, and it's like it isn't the same having uh you know I might as well just go to adopt. You know what I mean? Yes, it might
No,
be
no,
my
you did it right.
DNA,
You did it right,
but as
bro.
far as on the personal level, like I want to be there to feel the baby when it kicks, and I want to be able to put my face on her belly and sing songs, and you know what I mean. So it was something we talked about for a few years, and we both knew this friend, and she wanted children too, and had bad experiences with men, and so we're a safe home. I built my own house. It's a 3-story house with secret passages and an
Yes,
architect,
sir.
like
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Enough said, CLT.
and we have all this land around us, and we're surrounded by and we have people too, like we are rural, but we're not isolated. We have company, we have friends, and like I said, the kids go to public school, and when we're very involved with the public and the community, and both of us are very spiritual, and I'm an interfaith minister. I'm officiated in not officiated, ordained in every major religion except for Buddhism, because I don't want to do celibacy. In order to be a monk or a Buddhist minister, you have to be celibate. And and I'm not a rabbi because I don't want to be circumcised, and my wives don't want me to be either. So so those are the only two major religions that I'm not actually ordained in, and I spread my understanding of earthy love. We are here together. All of the animals, all of the plants, all of the life. We're even here with
Yeah.
the rocks. The stuff that doesn't have.
Especially the rocks and the crystals, bro.
Right,
Especially the
right.
rocks and the crystals.
And our vibration internally, our aura is what is going to present. Humans are more of a presence now on Earth than they ever
Mhm.
have been. And I think that the aura of the average human
I'm about to
is
do that.
way worse than it ever has been. I think there's a lot of greatness in all of us, but I think because of kind of like the way society has sort of like programmed us, most people, I think, have a lower vibration than the average 100,000 years ago.
Well, let me speak.
The
Let me
people, the
speak to
people
that.
on Earth that, and I don't mean to speak against anybody's religion
No,
when I
not at
mention
all.
100,000 years ago, but in those time, the the weight of the world wasn't on our shoulders. It was only the weight of
Our
ourselves and our
communities, yeah.
family. And
Right.
that's kind of like in crisis, that's what matters.
That's where it
how
returns
how
to.
does the weight of your close family, the people around you, how heavy is that weight? That's what matters in crisis. How can
You have to realize
first of all,
also
how can I
that
Thank
prevent
you.
it? Steps, you take steps ahead of time, but then also during the fact, while it's happening, what is it that we can help with?
Thank you, CLT, for adding that. We have Twa in the chat. Did you want to answer the prompt, or did you want to add anything to the discussion?
Hey y'all, my bad.
How
I'm a
you
little
doing?
hoarse. I just got pulled into this. Also, I'm trying to listen in to see what crises y'all are referring to.
So basically, the idea of crisis is based upon this book called The Fourth Turning by Neil Howe, and basically it talks about how Western civilization moves in cycles, right? And it's moved in cycles from basically its lowest to basically where we are now, and that's it's basically a four-step cycle. The first cycle is a high, where that society reaches like a high, a peak in this society, and then from that peak is the second turning, which is the awakening, where the people start awakening to becoming aware of themselves. And then basically after that awakening comes an unraveling, which is the third turning. And in that unraveling, people are conflicted. People are conflicting with their ideas because of their awakening. And so it causes people to draw apart from each other. And then as a result of that unraveling, then comes a crisis in society. Right. And
Oh,
so
okay.
basically saying that American society specifically moves in those particular cycles. And as a result, where we are right now, we are actually in the fourth turning, which is, according to the book and according to the author, we're like in the unraveling going into a crisis. So just entertaining the idea, yeah, right, like how would you prepare ourselves, or how do we prepare ourselves and our families for the next crisis? That's what we're talking about.
Okay, well, thank you for explaining. Yeah, so this is a book. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, I don't know anything about this book or what you're describing, but it sounds like it is essentially again, excuse me, I'm hoarse.
Uh,
Cognitive dissonance. And I don't follow this book and I'm not a Christian or anything, so I follow, maybe you could say, hoodoo practices, astrology. So this fourth turning that you described is actually planetary alignments that are also happening that I'm sure is probably just being reflected in regular society. So
oh,
this fourth turning, yeah, people who have maybe been in the dark or been illusioned by the fog for some time now, they are being forced to confront the truth that has been there for them to see. Perhaps I and others have seen it, but people have called us crazy for speaking out, and now it is all on his head. The fog is clear, and now they're having a crisis because they have been living a lie and agreeing with a lie. And now the crisis is, oh no, am I a bad person? What do I do? Who am I now? They're having a breaking, I guess, this fourth turning. So that's interesting. So yeah, for me as a person, I look again to hoodoo and history as an African American. And actually at this time, the planets are aligning in similar ways that it aligned at the beginning of the transatlantic slave trade. So I would personally look to history. I would look to my ancestors. I would look to the stars because they are the same stars our ancestors looked at and used to navigate to fight. I would look at the Haitian Revolution. I would look at anarchism, anti-fascism, Marxism, all these other things because they are the way. Haiti is the way. I would, simply honor
Yeah, I
myself,
say, I say.
collect seeds and such
Yeah, I
like
say, I
that.
say, give thanks, sister, for pouring
Yeah, I
in.
see you,
We
Baba.
give praise and thanks for your mighty words for pouring in, and as
Thank
usual,
you.
the Almighty just, it speaks, family, so bright and clear and resolute, and I just really want to really take a time for us to take stock and notice that look at the different variations and qualities of awakened beings there are out there, from CLT to my sister, the Empress here. I just want to
Like
really just
yourself.
say
Don't
thank
sell
you.
yourself short.
Yes, I will give thanks, but I just want to say that this is a really a major movement taking place, family. It's like a very powerful upshift that is in effect. And I start again to just keep it going higher to say we are prepared, family. You are prepared, like just like the sister said. The
We
history,
can do this
all
all
these
together.
things, they're all falling in line. Like she said, this year, this same month, Black History Month, on the 28th of February, there's going to be a 6-planet alignment on the ellipsis, a
You're
6-planet
right.
alignment that won't be happening for another, I think, maybe 62 years. You see me? A 6-planet alignment. So to prepare for this coming so-called crisis is to get your prayers and supplications and get yourself lined up with the total universe out there by having your prayers, your requests, reading your executive summary of your business plan, talking about your plan openly and like fully with your breath in commander prayer mode. Also using that time to do your commander prayers. Anybody who knows Baba Ken knows that this is a martial force you're dealing with. So I believe in commander prayers. Like sometimes you need just, instead of like doing that little ominous, dominus, a little bit, you need to like straight up pray like you mean it. Make a joyful noise, lift your voice up and command the universe to do what you commanded it to do when you came here. Your time on earth is just a vacation for you to get what you're supposed to do. You live in eternity. You have but a small amount of days' time here. Get your groove on. Get your staycation on. Not no vacation. Get your staycation on. Stay in your higher register. Stay in your spiritual name. Stay in what you believe in. Stand on what you believe in. Don't just be out here just playing with the moments, the few little moments you have on earth. Tap into yourself. Like the sister said, the planets are lining up more than ever. The same way they were when this so-called catastrophe got here is what it is now. And I just want to just like end by saying this. I happen to just look up and be in Los Angeles at the moment for so-called All-Star Weekend. So I just want to make a special public service announcement to all my galactic star travelers out there. From now on, you're not just a star seed, you're an all-star. You're all-star. You might live on Earth, but you're a star having an earthly experience. You are an all-star. You are all comprised of stars. The more you illuminate your being, the more of a star you are. So be an all-star during your walk on earth. Even though you're a human, you can still be an all-star. They're calling them all-stars and paying them that money, and all they're doing is bouncing a ball in underwear. Come on, family, wake up and live up to yourself. I yield.
Love you, Baba Ken. Amen.
Yes,
Thanks,
sir.
brother. So,
Yes, sir.
give thanks for that word sound, Roots. That's
That's
definitely
Pharaoh Tarot over there. Pharaoh
yeah,
Tarot.
Hey,
yeah,
what's going
yeah, yeah.
on? What's going on, Bob Taylor? What's
In the
going on,
place.
Mario? How you doing?
What's up, Pharaoh? How you doing?
Good,
But
good. Mr. Kingpin, CLT, Twa. y'all doing? How you doing? Peace, peace.
Doing all right. So Sister Twa, I wanted to ask you in terms of you spoke about your hoodoo practices
Well, in the
as far as hold on one
I'm
second.
sure in the
It,
yeah, I'm packed up and ready to go, man.
hold on one second. There we go. There we go. All right. So in terms of like you said you prepare with hoodoo practices and preparing yourself for being on and connected to the earth and being part of the vibration. How do you connect to your community as well for those who are ready to for those who are awakened, for those who are ready? How do you help your community and get engaged in the same thing as far as preparing in that way?
How do we learn?
As in, what do I do in the community, or what could one do?
Either one, either one.
Well, personally, with my personal skills, I personally teach in my community. I help with the children I teach at the primary schools, and I work with the local events. Like, y'all forgive me, I'm hoarse. I'm trying my best,
No, you're
but
doing great. We
You're doing
appreciate you.
great, love. You're doing
but
great.
yeah. So the
We hear you
children,
well.
we do art activities, but we do art integration. So art with math or art with history, STEAM projects, either in the classroom and also in the community. But that's what I do. But that's just because of my skills and who
Yeah.
I am as a person. But I'm sure anybody come in and do anything, whatever skills you got. If you good at building stuff, come help us build stuff. The kids want to learn to build. They can help build projects. Um, okay, thank you. The kids like to sometimes we build stuff with popsicle sticks. I make it smaller. We normally work in dioramas and paper because we don't got that much money. But shit, if you got money, come give us some money. I'll go to the store. I go shopping for the children. Whenever I get money from the governor, come give us money. I go shopping and buy all the stuff, and then we play. But that's just what I do. I'm silly. I like to play and do stuff.
Mhm.
I like to do art. We color and paint, but that's me. So if
That's
you
not silly.
good,
That's beautiful.
Well, I was gonna say,
That's
Twad,
not silly at
definitely,
all.
definitely, send me like some information via DM, and we can collect some funds to help support your kids
okay,
out there while
yes,
you're doing
thank
your
you.
thing.
Yes, we have a festival coming up. We do a festival, and the festival coming up in a month and a half. The
Okay,
Imagination Festival.
where are
Okay,
you
yes, yeah.
located?
I will email you. Hold on,
Okay.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
follow you.
Send me all that good information. Yeah, because again, that's what we talking about here, right? Is how are we building community in real time to help
Yeah.
support it and prepare ourselves.
I
I
just felt to
appreciate
help the children because I feel
yes.
like sometimes adults, everybody at work and everything, the children getting left behind, and I don't want them to forget themselves and
Mhm.
get trapped into all this stuff that separate them from their own humanity. So I
Right.
just went. That's just what I did. But if somebody else could do something else, it's a lot of great things that we need. People who can cook, people hungry.
Sister Twa.
Hmm.
My name is Ja
Peace and
Ora.
soul, my sister.
Yep. Sister Twa, my name is Dogon Ja Ora. I'm out of Los Angeles, California, and I have the
Hey,
first touch of mycology. I like to offer, you know, mushroom cultivation workshop classes to the youth
ooh,
as you know, a gift to them, and they, you know, continuing on with the knowledge of how to cultivate for themselves and their family
yeah,
mushroom. I think
that's
it'll
so
be a
beautiful.
very educational class for them, and an opportunity to teach them a trade at a very early stage.
Yeah, I
You
love
know, and
that.
get them used to the biology and the science and the mycology of um, of cultivating mushrooms. Where are you located?
I'm actually in the South. I'm in Birmingham, Alabama.
Okay.
Birmingham, Alabama.
But I'm sure we could maybe do some sort of digital thing, or you do
Hmm.
like a shipments, or would you come down to Birmingham?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't mind taking the trip down to Birmingham. I'll have to grab some donations from some people and things and come on down there and make that happen.
Yeah, okay.
Um,
Well, I just had an idea. Sometimes we do work like science work with arts, like sinotopes or making our own paper or something. But I've been researching about was it mycelium and fungi,
Yes.
how they're making
Yes.
alternative fabric. And I
Yes.
like to work with textiles. So if we can work together to come up with a textile fabric thing that the kids can make, we can teach them how to make their own fabric because we do a lot of stuff like that. I can
Well, yeah,
pair up
that'll
with as
be
one of the
that.
science teachers.
That's kind of a process whereby you we would have to cultivate some mycelium and then just basically yes we
We would.
Okay,
Yes.
I follow Baba. I follow Baba. Come follow me on your phone or something.
Yeah.
Yes, sister. He said he
Or at the
absolutely is
very,
going to do that, sister. Like,
or at the very least,
look at
I
what's
was gonna
happening,
say,
family.
Twa. I was
Look at
gonna
the
say,
community
send me.
building itself right here. You know.
So Twa,
Say it
so
again,
Twa, I was
Mario.
gonna say, make sure you DM me your information, and then we can get that started.
Of
Most
course, of
definitely.
course.
Uh,
I'm
brother
very
Pharaoh
happy I
Terrell, man,
came
how you?
in.
Hmm?
I'm
I
very
work at
happy
I
I
work at a
came in.
mushroom
Nice to
farm
meet
Me
every day.
y'all.
too.
Helping.
Thank you, sister.
So glad y'all came in.
So
Before I let Terrell in on the chat, everybody that is actually in the room, I want to thank y'all for being here. I want to thank y'all for the
that's our
support.
pleasure.
If you could do me the favor of like tapping your screen, I would love to get these likes to at least 3,000 as we continue this discussion. Talking about how do we get prepared? How do we stay prepared based upon how things are changing in our various society as we speak. So my brother Pharaoh, I don't know if you how much of the conversation you were listening to, but basically the prompt itself is how do we prepare ourselves and our families for the next crisis? So um, you know, if you'd like to answer, man, I would appreciate it. Yeah.
How do I think yeah, what everybody said, I love what everybody said. I'm curious about that book. I'm gonna have to check that book out for sure. Food is 100%. I think that is definitely one of the most important things. Um, and from my point of view, from me, 'cause I'm really a spiritual healer. I think spiritually we have to raise our frequency. We have to um, get rid of these negative attachments that's keeping us in a low state, whether it's the food, whether it's the music, whether it's the thing we watch, the people we surround ourselves with, you know.
it's all of those things.
Right. That's what this is. It's a combination of all those things. So, um, I think, yeah, because I'm big on health. Like, and it's funny that you mentioned
Yeah.
fasting. That you mentioned fasting, and Bobby Kim mentioned fasting, and that's something I just finished. I was been doing mainly fruit, a lot of water, and that definitely changes your whole mindset. If the mind is all in the universe is mental, then we are much more powerful than we realize. Yes, we need to know self defense. That's extremely important to know. Man, woman, and child. We need to understand how to take care of ourselves, protect ourselves physically, but we need to understand also how to protect ourselves spiritually as well. Getting back to the herbs, not only understanding that these things have a physical, they can help us medicinally, physically heal ourselves, but what it's also doing to us on a metaphysical level too. It's helping us to more tap into the spiritual realm, because not only do we need the physical things to help us to navigate life, but they're also going to help attract certain energies, certain spiritual energies, certain spirits, certain entities. They're going to help us to navigate any crisis. That's what we've been using since we did that during slavery, and it's still doing it now, and it's becoming more widely recognized. And the hocus pocus is kind of going out the window. People are becoming more accepting to it, more aware of it now. Um, I've been on this mission for a minute,
Yeah.
and yeah, not everybody's gonna wake up. Not everybody's
Yeah.
going to be on the road, So,
True indeed.
but
You're in the right place, my friend.
exactly. And that was the next thing I was gonna mention, that none of us here are by accident. Not a single person watching this, or anybody who swipes and they see it on their For You page. It's not by accident. It's a divine time. It's a divine shift that's taking place. You know, yeah, it's a divine shift. We're in number 10 year, 2026. 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 6 is 10. This is the whole of consciousness, the whole of our being is making a shift, making a change. All right. And it's not, we're going to see it. More stuff is going to happen in society with different things. All these different distractions that we're seeing is distracting us for something much bigger that's taking place. And I'm waiting for the alien ship to come down soon. So I'm ready to get my
It's
back.
coming,
It's
and
Soon
indeed.
come, bro.
it's
Soon
invisible.
come.
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to thank personally thank Pharaoh for coming on board, man. This one of my best friends, and I want to say this very clear. It's so powerful, man, becoming the age that I am, because at the same time, for all the folks like Pharaoh who would call me elder and like old man and stuff when we're joking around, y'all are adding the years on too. So it's like so refreshing to me, brother, just to see you, you know what I'm saying, coming into yours.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering, are you dyeing your beard? Is it still black because you dye it, or
No,
huh? Come on
no,
now.
I don't.
Okay, all right. All right, no pressure. So this is my final response as we wind out of time. I know you're gonna wind it down soon, Mario. I want to just say that one of the ways I think that we can prepare for the upcoming times is to get into what I want to call two things. Think we should get off into festivals and festivals.
Come
Festivals
on with it.
and festivals. We have to change the frequency of how you feel about fasting and turn it into what it is, what you're supposed to be doing once you're spiritually awakening. So a festival is when you get a couple of your friends together and you celebrate the idea that y'all gonna fast together and hold each other accountable and make sure nobody puts nothing in their mouth and bring the
Right.
suicide, the chewicide to a close, because that's the biggest problem all of us have is chewicide. That's the festival. And that's the only way we can really get into real fast. Now, what do I mean by feastival? Feastival. We live in a food desert. If you live in the city, you live in a food desert. So you need to be creating special events where people are going to get a chance to feast on some good food, not come there and recognize they can't afford to eat, not come to the event and recognize they can't afford to be at the event to partake of the healthy things that's there. We need to have feastables. And I say that because most of the time on your way to really fasting, you're not really doing a fast if you're only doing juice. That a juice fast is
Yeah.
not a juice fast. That's a juice feast. You're feasting on juice. You're using juice only as your thing. And we have to remember that's getting you back to the real type of eating that you really need to get back to, which is how indigenous man ate. We wasn't eating no rice and beans and
Right.
cornbread and greens and barbecue jackfruit. That's not how we was doing it, family. We was eating in season.
Yeah.
You were eating in season. So if it was apple season, when the apples was right, it's in. If it's peaches, it's peaches. If it's grapes, it's grapes. If it's honeysuckle, it's honeysuckle. If it's dandelion, it's dandelion. Okay? This is what it is. You got to get back into eating with, you're not just operating, but eating in the circadian rhythm. Eating in the circadian rhythm. Okay, so festivals and festivals. So when you get together, think how powerful it's going to be when we start doing apple festivals. Like I just left the great so-called Northwest up there. They have them in New York too. But wherever you have orchards, when it's time to go pick them, like at Eckert's over there, you go
Yeah.
over there and you get busy with the apples.
Or
Do
be seasoned
everything
at
with the apples and apple yourself out. Become Mr. Johnny Appleseed. Do prayers over the apples that you buy. Stop going to the store buying a whole wide variety of poisons and get into one natural fruit and
Mm.
save yourself with it. Can some, jar some, make some jelly with some, make some apple butter with some. Stop acting like you don't know how to do right. What it is you've been caught up into the variety and the spice of life, and you're out here playing yourself by paying yourself and you chewing yourself out of here. Put the wraps on it. If you spiritually awake, start fasting. Stop wasting all your cash in. Start doing festivals to spend time with each other and festivals so you can eat right real good. I yield.
So, yo, based upon
Yeah.
what you just said right there, Brethren, to me, it sounds like BMG is working towards our first online fast where we check in, right?
That's right.
Y'all think that would go over well? If like, I don't care if it's for
Oh yeah.
24 hours, it could be 7 days, it could be however we want. You think that would be successful as far as holding each other accountable for a fast like that?
I do, I do, I
Ah,
do, I
Yep.
do,
Yep.
I
Yep.
do, I
It's
do,
much
I
easier to do it when
do,
you're
I
when you're
Makes
together and
do,
everybody
I
on the same.
do, I
You know,
do.
everybody holds everybody accountable. Keep each other motivated. It's so easy to go and just you drive past a restaurant, you see a fast food place or whatever. It's easy to go. Oh,
yeah,
what do people do when they're bored? Oh, let's go get some food. Let's go to a restaurant. Take a
yeah.
break. Give your body some time to relax. We eat way too much.
Hmm.
it's a thing, man. I mean, yeah, people eat to eat just to pass the time, right?
Right. Exactly.
And it's you could be doing all kind of stuff and you stuffing things in your mouth, right? And
True.
chewing it. Yeah. So yeah. And as somebody that has had stomach issues, I had diverticulitis and was in the hospital a couple of years ago, right? Just because my stomach went crazy, and I'm sure what I was eating contributed to that. So I think it's an essential thing.
So healing for the body. You can get rid of anything: diabetes, cancers, lupus. You can get rid of all different type of diseases by stop eating. Stop eating. Just go to water fast, the fruit fast. Yeah.
Most
We're
definitely.
all subject to glycosation. Glycosation is our body's process in producing and digesting glucose. And the faster that we do that, the shorter we live. If we fill ourselves with glucose, we are going to glycate faster. And the slower you glycate, the longer you live. That's the only scientific explanation. The slower we glycate, the longer we live. If we eat less sugar, then we will live longer. As of now, that's the only scientific evidence of living longer. People claim I've eaten meat my entire life and all I eat is meat, and they live forever. Some people say I've only eaten vegetables and I'm gonna live forever, and they live forever, and both of them are fine. All that matters is what kind of carbohydrates we glycate and how fast we glycate them.
Hmm. So it looks like sugar is gonna have to be our next topic too, because that's that's the slow killer right there. That's the underlying killer in everything we eat, consume in this country. Definitely we gonna have to dig
Yeah,
into that.
refined sugar, yes.
Yes, yes,
Eight
most
times
definitely.
more
Yeah.
addictive than cocaine.
And it was the economic engine of the so-called chattel slave period.
Hmm. I was
Mm.
about to say I
You're
got
telling
sugar
me
cane now.
It was the
you
commodity.
haven't introduced enough cocaine. You know it's sugar. Sugar's the problem,
Mm.
not cocaine.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
It's
the big
sugar.
lie,
It's sugar.
right?
You know what? While we talking about this family, let me drop some jewels right quick of something that to keep in mind while we bringing up cocaine and coca. I always like to remind people that the cola in Coca Cola, that's not cocaine, family. Yes, they might put cocaine in it, but what I'm saying, I want to bring back the cola nut for a second.
Yeah.
I want to say that one of the things you can do to prepare for the oncoming crisis is to use this as an opportunity to stop with all this overdoing it with the coffee bean and get with the cola nut for your rebuilding of or for the rebirth of your body temple. Some of us know about that, but switch up on the nuts. No pun intended. And get into the cola nut a little bit as the basis of and it's also something that's going to help you with your spiritual practice as well.
I
Those of
said
us that are
cacao.
devotees and ones, that cola nut. Sister Twa, if she was still on, I'm sure she'd chime in on that one. Also, too, just remember that beverage. The reason why it's so popular, it's not because of the sugar. Yes, that's the addictive part. The way it came upon us is because the cola nut is a food stuff that will most certainly awaken your innermost being and really regenerate you for who you are. See, all we have to do is stop eating outside of our DNA and genetic resonance, and you will come to your reasoned being, that most powerful superhero that you are, that you can only imagine human beings having that capability by watching movies like X-Men or something like that. But that's you they talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So my answer to this upcoming crisis is, if the crisis is you recognizing it's been you all the time, that's what you're looking for. The existential crisis has been you all the time. That's what's happening. It's happening. It's in full effect.
Yes.
You
Educate me.
see,
Educate me on what is a cola nut?
it's basically the most predominant food stuff that we used. In Aboriginal beings. It's one of the main things that Mansa Musa's brother brought over here to this world and introduced it to this side of the world. It's something that
Cola?
anybody who's practicing traditional African religions
Yeah.
What is a
understand me.
cola nut?
This is what they need to get the party started.
It's Gota Cola. It's Gota Cola. Kola. It's Gota Cola nut.
No, I'm at, what is a cola nut? I'm like, I don't want to jump off the live. Just
It's mind
Google
food. It's
search,
brain food.
What's a
It's
cola?
mind food.
What's a
It's brain
cola
food.
nut?
It's an
Yeah.
actual nut. Like it's an actual nut, a seed from
That you
from a
consume.
plant, on this hemisphere, South American and Central American. You can look it
Yeah.
up. Just look up cola nut, and you'll see a whole picture of the thing.
So
And you can,
how does it differ in spirituality from a cacao seed? Chocolate.
Cacao has its own special remedies, and there are people using that. But what I'm saying is, the mind to fully develop the mind and to put it into its highest state requires go-to cola. Because this where I'm going with this family is that my final answer with this thing, because I have to go catch the train, is that to prepare for a crisis, you must get the right herbs and spices into your body temple. You see me? To deal with the situation. Because if you're not properly nourished, and all those cortisol spikes of reality coupled with what you're doing to yourself is you bludgeon yourself by scrolling. Deadpan scrolling just bludgeons your cortisol levels like crazy. You see what I'm saying? And then to top it all off, most of us don't turn the lights off. When the sun goes down, you shouldn't have no fluorescent lights above your head, fighting against the circadian truth of your being. You should allow the melatonin to come on in because you cooler. You wouldn't even have to smoke as much herb if you just let the melatonin come on in. But instead, you keep yourself in the light and you operate in your serotonin being. So this go-to cola is going to literally heal you from the mental exhaustion that leads to you having thinking that you're sick and you have a flu or a cold. So go-to cola, we didn't add all the sugar to it, and that cola nut kept you active and alert and everything. So that's the next thing. Then the next thing is in preparation
I don't
for the
smoke
next crisis,
marijuana.
you have to I
don't
can
smoke
get to that
marijuana.
one there, but right now I want to talk about the breathing, the science of breath necessary to get through a crisis. First of all, most of us are hyperventilating as we speak. You're hyperventilating as we speak. Most of us get excited about stuff
I'm
we're
not.
hyperventilating.
You're
So,
making an assumption. I don't understand
well,
what your point
hold on, CLT. It's okay. It's okay. You'll catch it. What I'm saying, family, is this. This quick and simple, the quickest way to open your vagus nerve or to really get to your higher gamma state of being, your highest level of alertness, is for your exit breath to be almost 2 times as long as your in breath. I like to call people to what I like to call the 3-6-9 breath. You want to inhale for 3, hold it for 6, and exhale for 9. You tap into the sequence of 3-6-9. You're electrifying yourself when you do that. It's going to seem scary at first when you start treasuring. It's going to seem scary at first, but
It's a lot of hair coming
when you
out.
do it, you begin to get comfortable with that
It is
type
a
of
lot of air
rotation.
coming out.
You electrify yourself, and you begin to be able to cope and deal with this because you live from that type of breath. You electrify your consciousness that you are a super conscientious being, and you're able to deal with what's one man's crisis is another man's breath control. One man's crisis is another man's breath control. If you drop into the 369, or if God forbid, if you get into the assault breaths that only require you getting one sip of oxygen per minute, you really gonna slow it down. But I'm just gonna go 369 right now because I want to electrify you so that you can move as you move through this crisis. Okay, because don't just hit yourself with cortisol by scrolling like that. You got to stop doing that. What you got to do is slow your breath down and practice doing that. And when you find yourself in a real crisis, do the 369 instead of hyperventilating like you did in the past. I yield.
For box breathing, and I box breathe intentionally all the time, every time I breathe. Maybe when I sleep, I don't. Maybe when I sleep, my body takes over. But I'm always 4-4-4. Breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds. Breathe in and then repeat. Breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, and repeat. That's how I intentionally breathe all of my life, every day. And I'll tell you what, the amount of now it brings to me, here I am, the only time in my life that's ever gonna matter. Right now, it brings that into a focal point every time I breathe. When we're asleep, our body breathes naturally. It's part of our hippocampus. It just does it. We just breathe. But when we're awake, we can choose how quickly we blink. We can choose when we breathe. We can choose how these things happen. Sometimes when we're not awake, whether that's asleep or whatever that means to anybody else, sometimes when we're not awake, our body just does it naturally, and we're not aware of it, and it just does it, and we breathe, our heart beats, it's fine. I can choose how quickly I breathe. I can choose how slow I want my heart to beat.
Right. Good thanks for sharing. Good
If I'm
thanks for sharing,
running, my
CLT.
heart's
I'm
going to beat
sorry. I'm
fast.
sorry,
I
bro.
can't make my heart.
I'm sorry, bro. We gonna have to shut this down, man. But CLT, I appreciate you for sharing, man. But yeah, thank y'all for joining the BMG podcast. Like I said, every single Wednesday, 7 p.m. To 9 p.m. Eastern, and accordingly. Pharaoh Terrell, man, thank you. I knew it was going to be one time we were going to show up on each other's live. I'm so glad it finally happened, bro. Man,
Yeah,
let's keep this going. I love the
yeah.
idea of the fast, us
Mhm.
collectively coming together, man, and definitely. Do you have any shout outs, man, or anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Oh, thank you for that. Appreciate you for the invite. I appreciate you very much.
No problem.
Pleasure to see you. Pleasure to connect for sure. Be on live. Good to see you, Bobby Can.
Yes, I.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
I.
Right.
You too, bro.
Yes,
Every
sir.
time, man.
Yes, yes. But yeah, yeah. I look forward to the fasting idea, the collective fast. That sounds dope. Yes, because everything we got. Remember, everything that we eat goes to our brain first.
Yeah,
We're
man.
feeding our brain. So yeah. I think that's.
Bet.
Look forward to it.
More to build on. Y'all have a wonderful evening, man. BMG podcast. We'll see y'all next week.
Thank you, my
Peace.
friends.
No
Peace.
problem.
Yep.
Thanks, CLT.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jay
Peace.
Bailey, Bobby Ken. Talk to y'all soon.
As
Peace.
usual, bro.
Sir.
As
Yes,
usual.
I.
Peace. You have a
All
good
right.
night.
As
Peace.
usual, bro. You see me?
Yes, I.
Peace,
Yes,
Bobby Ken. Peace,
yes.
Mario.
Thank you all.
You say what now?